evening.
Good evening,
Madam, good
ma'am.
evening.
Good evening.
Good
Good
evening,
evening. Good evening.
I just had one request. I'm a little under the weather today. So if I can be allowed to exit after my speech, if that will be nice.
Yes, ma'am. No issues. No issues.
Okay.
Yes, we will follow the same. Yes.
I'm really feeling unwell since yesterday.
Yes, yes, ma'am. We will not take much time. We just need your blessings and your guidance. That's it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. So with your kind permission, shall we start, ma'am?
Yes, sure.
Yes, dear students, let's start. Prableen, please start.
Yes, ma'am. A very warm welcome. A very warm welcome, one and all present here. We hope all of you are doing well and keeping healthy. At the outset, ma'am,
You are
You are audible.
Prableen. Please go ahead. You are audible, Prableen. You please go ahead.
a very warm welcome, one and all present here. We hope all of you are doing well and keeping healthy. At the outset, we would like to introduce ourselves. I am Prableen Kaur, convener final year for this event. And with me today is Anusha Nanda, the event co-convener fourth year. It is a very proud privilege to host you this fine evening for the second WIPS IPR National Virtual Workshop. It gives us immense pleasure to welcome our chief guest, Honorable Justice Pratibha M. Singh, the dignitaries, Professor Dr. R. Venkata Rao, Chairman, VSLS and VSES, Professor Emeritus, Professor Dr. T.V. Subbarao, VSLS WIPS, Professor Dr. Rashmi Salpekar, Dean, VSLS WIPS, and Dr. J. Ravindran, Associate Dean, VSLS WIPS, and all our dear participants to the inaugural session of the second WIPS IPR National Virtual Workshop on Trademarks Law and Contemporary Issues, organized by the Center for Intellectual Property Rights, Vivekananda School of Law and Legal Studies. Vivekananda Institute of Professional Studies was established in the year 1999 by Dr. S.C. Vats, an educationist with a view to realize the words of Swami Vivekananda, man-making, character building, and nation building.
The Center for Intellectual Property Rights was established with the objective of disseminating knowledge pertaining to the field of intellectual property and to promote creativity, discourse, and dialogue on the emerging issues in the field. The foundation of the center was laid down under the aegis of Professor Dr. Neeru Nakra in the year 2020, with an aim to aid in academic and policy-oriented dialogue in the individual and intersectional areas of innovation and intellectual property. Professor Dr. Neeru Nakra for the entire VSLS fraternity. Professor Neeru was an epitome of kindness and humility. Since joining WIPS in the year 2006, Neeru ma'am had been an indivisible part of the WIPS family and was a constant source of motivation and guidance for all the students. Neeru ma'am was full of regards for the institute and was devoted to the advancement of the students as well as the faculty. Neeru ma'am was awarded the doctoral degree on infringement of trademarks and passing of action in India, new dimension of trademark law, from the University of Delhi. In addition, ma'am also contributed several articles to the journals of national repute and presented papers in national and international conferences, apart from authoring 3 books. This national workshop has been organized to honor the memory of Professor Dr. Neeru Nakra, who left for her heavenly abode on 28 April 2021. Keeping the objective of establishment in mind and in memory of Professor Dr. Neeru Nakra, CIPR has organized this 2-day national virtual workshop to analyze the emerging trends in the field of trademark law in the present context. The theme promises to provide a forum for novel thinking and fresh perspectives on the role of trademark laws in society and in advancing the understanding of the trademark law in the contemporary world.
We have with us today Professor Dr. R. Venkata Rao, Chairperson, Vivekananda School of Law and Legal Studies and Vivekananda School of English Studies. Prior to this, Sir was the Vice Chancellor of the National Law School of India, University, Bangalore. He was the Chairman, Board of Governors of Asia Law University for the year 2010-2011. Sir is also a member of the Board of Governors of the Indian Institute of Corporate Affairs, New Delhi. Sir has also served as a member, Governing Council, Indian Law Institute, New Delhi, and member, Academic Committee, Indian Institute of Public Administration, New Delhi. He is also a member of different committees in the Bar Council of India and is associated with various other prestigious bodies like the UPSC, State Service Commission, UGC, and NAC, among others. I would now like to call upon Professor Dr. R. Venkata Rao. Please present the welcome address.
Thank you very much, Prableen. Pranams, Honorable Justice Pratibha Singh, Madam. Our grateful thanks to you. Your love and affection are manifested in your presence this evening, in spite of your busy commitments, and we are grateful to you for that. Vice Chairperson Sunit Vajsi, Professor Rashmi, Professor T.V. Subara, Professor Ramindran, distinguished colleagues, fellow participants in this WIPS second Intellectual Property Rights National Workshop, virtual workshop on trademark law and contemporary issues. I congratulate the Center for Intellectual Property Rights for having taken the initiative to pay homage to our intellectual property, Dr. Neeru Akra, Madam. She was not only our intellectual property, but she was the trademark of our intellectual prowess. But as poet T.S. Eliot says, April was indeed the cruelest month. And on 28th April 2021, she was snatched away from our midst. And this is our humble homage. May I also share with you the wonderful work done by WIPS and Vivekananda School of Law. A team of editors led by Rashmi Salpekar have come out with this wonderful book, Intellectual Property Rights in the Information Age, an outcome of the 2019 conference. Why I'm showing this is, yesterday we have celebrated the Constitution Day, and every soldier in WIPS and Vivekananda School of Law is conscious of one very important article in the Constitution of India, Article 51A(j), which imposes a duty on us, the duty to strive towards excellence in all spheres of individual and collective activity, so that the nation constantly rises to higher levels of individual achievement. And this is a small, earnest effort on our part in our striving towards excellence, Madam. Well, exponential pace at which technology has been moving and had been galloping. No human activity has been left untouched. In fact, yesterday, the Indian Express newspaper came out with a wonderful small editorial on the so-called NFT, the abbreviation for non-fungible tokens. And they said the latest edition of Collins Dictionary has added this abbreviation as a new word. And it says non-fungible token is a unique digital certificate registered in a blockchain that is used to record ownership of an asset, which of an artwork or collectibles. That means digitization of everything has been the order of the day, and trademark law has also not been affected by it. Artificial intelligence and its impact on trademark law, especially piracy. Now, piracy in itself is menacing, but cyber pirate or cyber squatter, as the US people would like to call it, they are more menacing. You have the Anti-Cyber Squatting Consumer Protection Act, then Uniform Domain Name Dispute Resolution Policy, called popularly as UDRP. Now, these are the emerging trends, and Pratibha Singh, remember, I should congratulate the CIPR for having chosen the right person, because, and only two questions that agitate my mind are, to what extent the so-called intellectual property legal regime is compatible with the principle of equity? And number two, is patent and trademark jurisprudence colonization from within and without? I'm sure in the coming 2 days, all these issues will be dealt with. And I don't want to stand anymore between you. I have come here to listen to the erudition of Justice Pratibha Singh. Thank you very much. Once again, I extend a very warm welcome to all the participants to this intellectual powerhouse of high voltage. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for your very, very warm welcome. We would now like to take this opportunity to welcome our esteemed Honorable Chief Guest for the evening, Honorable Judge at the Delhi High Court, Justice Pratibha M. Singh. Ma'am completed her 5-year law course from University Law College, Bangalore, before being offered the ODASS scholarship to study LLM at the Cambridge University. Ma'am now also offers the prestigious Pratibha M. Singh Scholarship to Indian students who've secured admission in her alma mater, as a way to support the hopes and the dreams of talented legal students. Ma'am enrolled with the bar in the year 1991, and practiced as one of India's leading IP litigators, while also being the managing partner at Singh & Singh, New Delhi. Ma'am was designated as a senior advocate in the year 2013, before being elevated as a judge of the Delhi High Court in 2017. She has been invited as an expert to present views to various parliamentary committees, and has also contributed significantly in the drafting of India's first national IPR policy and in the establishment of the IPAB. Ma'am, it is a pleasure to have a luminary like yourself among us today. I would now like to welcome Justice Pratibha M. Singh, Honorable Judge, Delhi High Court, to please address the gathering.
Good evening and namaste to everybody. I'm sorry I'm not in the best of my spirits today because I'm a little under the weather. So if you're not able to hear me clearly, then the fault is mine. But before I proceed further in saying anything, I must remember Neeru Nakra. She was an integral part of WIPS. And whenever I have been invited to WIPS, she's been the person who along with her team of faculty members and students, welcome me very warmly to WIPS always. And it is indeed very, very cruel that she passed away during COVID, and that too without a warning and without any, without any chance of anyone helping her. It is indeed very sad. And when I came to know about her passing, I was quite upset. And I just hope that, her soul rests in peace. And you people should continue the good work that she has started at WIPS in terms of her passion for WIPS and her basic, interest in IP, which she made it very clear all along in all the events that she was organizing. Having said that and remembered Neeru Nakra, thank you, Professor Venkatrao, for the very gracious welcome. And all the faculty and all students of WIPS, it's wonderful to be back with all of you, even with a sore throat and a bad cold. But the thing is, considering the kind of event that this was, I didn't even feel like saying that I will skip last minute. So I'm here before you all. All right. The Center for Intellectual Property, Rashmi, I look forward to receiving the book that Professor Rao just showed us. Please send it to me. I would like to take a look and see what you have published in it. The art of writing needs to be cultivated among students right through college. And if you are encouraging that among students, irrespective of the subject in which you write, that's the best way you can come out of as wholly rounded lawyers. Because just studying your exams and giving the papers, scoring marks is not enough. You should know how to write. You should know how to structure an article, structure a piece. So writing and drafting is, I mean, according to me, 70% of lawyering. And if you have got that mastered at the end of your legal studies, then you are on track to become a very good lawyer. So all of you, please keep writing and researching and increasing your knowledge base. The best way to increase knowledge base is to have small teams and small groups and discussions amongst yourselves. Irrespective of whether there are online or offline classes, if you could just pick up one judgment, one subject, and sit down and chat about it and think about it and break it down to various topics. So that's the best way we used to do it when we were in college. So I think that's a good way for all of you to do that as well. It's very heartening to see so many women and girls on the screen today. I have noticed that in the last 4 or 5 years, there are a large number of girls who are entering the legal profession. And the previous taboo, which was there, the social taboo for lawyer girls, which used to be there, is no longer there, I feel. Though it may be there as an undercurrent, the girls are still challenging it and coming out. So all the very best. And I wish you all the courage to continue your pursuit of law in litigation. And let's now come to the topic in question. These are intellectual property and trademark related contemporary issues. I want you all to think about trademarks and tell me, you will realize what is the advantage of having a trademark. Whenever you go to the market, why do you look for your favorite branded product? Whether it's a jeans, whether it's a food product, whether it's a chocolate, you always look for your favorite product. Why? That too with a name. Imagine if there was no brands at all and Cadbury's chocolate was just a white paper. Would you buy it? No. The brand or the trademark gives you a trust factor. It gives you a feeling that if I buy this product, I will not go wrong. There will be a basic minimum quality that it will possess. It will have a particular emotional appeal. Maybe, for example, if your mother or your best friend likes a particular brand, you tend to buy that brand. But we are facing more and more challenges in trademarks nowadays. In earlier times, in the early 90s, even till the 2000s, the trademark jurisprudence that has evolved in India has been extremely vibrant. Almost all the issues that Indian businesses needed, which are raised in courts, have all been decided by Indian courts. We no longer require the Western trademark jurisprudence on any issue of trademarks. In fact, we are much ahead in jurisprudence in most other countries. And that is because of the versatility of the defendants who are infringers. They take very interesting defenses in the court of law. They take very unique defenses. And so the law has evolved beautifully. Our judges have laid down excellent law and excellent principles. The ultimate principle in all trademark cases is who is right and who is wrong. That is the quest for justice, which is in every case. And that's no different in trademark matters. So Professor Rao just said, is IP compatible with equity? Professor Rao, yes, it is. It is equitable to protect a brand from being misused. It is equitable to protect a mark from being pirated. It is equitable to injunct a counterfeiter who is making a counterfeit product. This is because in trademark law, it is not about just the proprietor. It is also about the consumer. So if the consumer is not protected, just imagine, I'm going to give you a very small anecdote. I remember when my son was very young, maybe even under 10, he had got fever. And after one full day of giving Crocin syrup, the fever wouldn't come down. And I called up the pediatrician. I'm telling you that this is my personal experience. It's no one else's experience. So I called up our regular pediatrician and I said, Dr. Paul, the fever is not coming down. What do you suggest? So he said, please get your bottle of Crocin from a different shop. And lo and behold, I wouldn't believe it. The minute we changed the bottle, we gave it to him, the fever came down. Just imagine in medicines, in food products, if there are products which are not genuine, what will be the situation of the citizen or the society or the consumer? It's extremely dangerous. And therefore, the law of trademarks has evolved, not just keeping in mind the plaintiff and the defendant, but also the consumer who is going to buy the product, for whom the judge is thinking. The consumer is not before the court. The judge is thinking on behalf of the consumer. I remember there was a case of Nescafe coffee. Those sachets were being made, 1 rupee sachets, they were being counterfeited. We took every step possible through the food department, through the local commissioners, so to seize all these products and to identify the manufacturer. So therefore, I believe that trademark law should not be having this tag of being a rich man's law.
Yes.
It is a law which has evolved to safeguard the rights of citizens, safeguard the rights of consumers, and in the bargain, also safeguard the rights of the trademark owner. So when you look at it from this perspective, that is when you realize that principles of law have to be made elastic. They have to be stretched. They cannot be kept as one unstretchable in one direction, in a blinkered way. It has to be multidimensional. Whatever is needed to do the right thing, the court will do it. So with that background, I want to deal with the contemporary issues that face trademark law. According to me, the biggest challenge that trademarks and IP, intellectual property in general, is facing, at least in the last 4 or 5 years, is the internet and online platforms. We are facing enormous challenges on these platforms. Even when the internet started, maybe in the early 2000s, we did not face this problem. The focus was on basically searching and mailing, emails, etc. But now the internet has become so ubiquitous. Everybody has access to the internet. Thanks to smartphones and thanks to devices, it's on the move. You can use the internet. So internet has not made it only easy for trademark owners to sell their products, but it's also made it very easy for counterfeiters to sell their products and hide behind the smog screen of the internet. So this is the biggest challenge that India is facing, or even the world is facing, in the context of trademarks. Let us discuss today the various innovative remedies that courts have come out with for protecting trademarks on the internet. I'm going to give you examples of actual cases while I'm speaking, so you can imagine what is the kind of problems that judges are encountering in the recent times. Okay, sometime after about 2011-12, if I'm not wrong, the online pirated websites were showing cricket matches. So most of us, if we were at home, we would watch ESPN or Sony or something to watch the cricket match. But those who were in office used to watch it on their computer screens. And there were several websites which were, redirecting the ESPN signal onto their website and allowing the users to watch it on the internet. These websites were not paying any license fee to ESPN or to BCCI. And the court was faced with a very unique problem. So whenever when we look at the internet, are you all aware of what is Uniform Resource Locator? Like that is URL. URL means like an address. In the internet, suppose, so in real life, let us say there is a colony called Defense Colony. Somebody is residing there. There is a block called A block. Then there is a residence called A33. Then there is the first floor of that building. So that is the specific location of the internet, of the person who is giving you an address. In the internet, when you speak of this very address, it is called the Uniform Resource Locator. So the jurisprudence came, okay, it is on this locator, on this address, he is only on the first floor. We don't need to demolish the whole building. We can only stop access to that particular floor. That's what the court said. So the URL was disabled. But then what the pirater did was, he would move that very content from the URL to a second URL. Then the court would injunct that. Then again a third URL. And multiple matches, multiple films, multiple copyrighted content started coming on that website. So every floor, every room had pirated content. So the court then said, look here, this is not going to be enough. He is too smart for us. We have to bring down the whole website itself. This is what the division bench of Delhi High Court held. So in the context of the internet, we evolved a concept called rogue website. If a website is a rogue website, then that means he's beyond repair. He's a rogue. So then you bring down the entire website itself. So there is a lot of jurisprudence on whether this can be done, this cannot be done. But this is the way the court felt. Yes, I have to protect the right of the person who has paid 3,000 crores to get the rights to the cricket matches from the BCCI. So we came to a jurisprudence called, when there are rogue websites, the entire website can be brought down. Then in the last 2-3 years, there's another innovative thing that the pirater did. What did the pirater do? He then started moving the content to another website. So even if you brought down the whole website, suppose his website name is abc.com. So when you gave an injunction on abc.com and told all the ISPs, internet service providers, that you will block this website, he said, I'm very smart. I have abc1.com. I will put the same content on it. Then I will put it on abc2.com. Then I'll put it on abc3.com. Now, does the plaintiff have to file separate suits for each of these websites? What a big challenge for the plaintiff. How will he keep doing it? He has to pay court fee on every suit. So what was the judge supposed to do? Then we evolved a concept of dynamic injunction. So dynamic injunction means if there is an injunction on one website, if the next website's content is identical to the injuncted website, then the registrar on an application by the plaintiff can extend the injunction even to the second website. It doesn't need a second suit. It doesn't need a whole drafting again. So all that the registrar has to see is this website identical to the second website or not? That's it. If it's identical, he can just extend the injunction. So while pirators are dynamic, they're moving from one website to the other. courts are dynamic and they move their injunction from one website. So this is the second type of injunctions that are granted. Let us now see what is happening in the context of e-commerce platforms. There were a bunch of cases which came before the court where the plaintiff said, look, there is an e-commerce website called Darvies.com. Darvies.com. So this is a very high profile shoe brand called Christian Louboutin. So the heel, the back sole of that shoe of ladies is red in color. It is supposed to be one of the most distinctive brands in the world. So what happened is this Darvies.com started selling Christian Louboutin shoes. So the website came before the court and said, look, mine is not a counterfeit product. It is a legitimate product. It is an original product. It is an original product. This product is purchased by me from Italy by a genuine dealer of Christian Louboutin. He gives it to me, so I put it up on the website. So the plaintiff can't do anything. And then that website offered guarantee on the product. It offered transportation. It offered packaging. It offered invoicing. The payment was taken by the website. Everything was being done by the website. And the defendant, the seller on the website, was not Indian. He was Italian. So what is the court supposed to do in this kind of case? Can you simply say that the website has no responsibility? Can you say that the website is only an intermediary and does not have any duty to monitor the products that it is selling? So the court then said, there are two types of intermediaries. One, who are active intermediaries. Second, who are passive intermediaries. A passive intermediary is someone like OLX or eBay. So that kind of intermediary has no control on what you are doing. You are yourself the user putting your product on the website, putting the image, and it will get auctioned. The website doesn't do anything. But in the case of other websites which are active, the question is whether can they be held responsible or not. They relied upon Section 79 of the IT Act to say we are intermediaries. We are not liable for these products. As long as we are told it's a genuine product, there is no responsibility on us. But the court held, no, that's not the way this is going to happen. Since you are the person who's putting the product online, since you are the person collecting the money, you're the person packaging the product, transporting the product, you are no longer a passive intermediary. So you have an active role. And this judgment and various other 4 or 5 judgments which came during that period analyze the duties of intermediaries in a detailed manner. And then there is now what we call the intermediary guidelines of 2020 or 2021, which have come out and which is still being debated. So this is a very contemporary issue that trademark owners are facing because intermediaries claim safe harbor. Safe harbor means I am protected. You can't proceed against me. So that's what is a safe harbor kind of relief that they wanted to get. But the court said it depends on whether you're active or you're passive. Let us look at another issue. Recently, the Delhi High Court has come with a judgment on Google AdWords. It's a 1-week-old judgment. So what was happening in this case is, there was a company called Agarwal Packers. Now, another company whose name was not Agarwal Packers would purchase the Agarwal Packers AdWord from Google. AdWord means advertising word. So Google was selling Agarwal Packers as a word. So this person could purchase it. And the plaintiff, whenever someone did Agarwal Packers on the Google, his entry would come on top because he has purchased the AdWord. So the question is whether this is violation of trademark rights. The interesting argument which Google made is that the word Agarwal Packers is not being used as a trademark. It is hidden. It is only an ad word. It only gives you a link to Mr. Gupta's Packers website. So the question is, can they do it? The Delhi High Court held this is a encashment on the goodwill of the plaintiff's mark. And in fact, this judgment is different and has taken a different view compared to other cases in the world where Google was protected. So the judge gives a reasoning. He says, the consumer in India is not as educated as in foreign countries. We need to protect them as much as possible. This is not a charitable kind of usage. This is a commercial usage, both by Google and by Gupta Packer. I don't know the name of the defendant. I'm just using a loose term. So the court said nothing doing. You can't use it like that. So the ad word was injuncted. So I'm sure this is going to travel in appeals, etc. But that's another very interesting issue that we have faced recently. So the last issue I need to talk about is on jurisdiction related issues. Increasingly, we are finding that Indian trademarks are being used abroad. For example, there was a case of Juggernaut Publishing. Juggernaut Publishing is a Delhi-based publishing house. Someone in New York, an Indian, registered juggernaut.org.com or something. And they were putting up all the content which was targeted to India. So the court said, this is what it is a purposeful availment of the jurisdiction. The defendant is trying to promote his products specifically targeting Indian consumers. And therefore, Delhi High Court exercised jurisdiction, even in that case. So these are the various issues that we are facing. The last big challenge that we all have recently is the abolition of the Intellectual Property Appellate Board, which has been abolished as of early this year. And all the pending matters are going to come to the High Court. So the Delhi High Court, as the Chief Justice has passed an order saying, we will have an intellectual property division in the Delhi High Court. So we are moving towards a position where there will be specialized courts. The judges won't be the same. Judges will keep changing, but the procedure in that court would be specialized, would be specific, catered to IP matters, patent matters, like we have tax benches, arbitration benches, company law benches in the High Court. We will now be having intellectual property divisions in the High Court. So it is a big challenge, and we are all gearing up to it. And you must all be thinking, judges have such an easy time. It is not. It is very, very difficult. Continuously, we keep working day in and day out. And our work is not only judicial work, but also administrative work, because we all have to administer the court as well and take structural changes and administer and make reforms in courts. So I think we are in for interesting times in intellectual property, and the internet has created a huge challenge for intellectual property, but I think courts are keeping pace and they are trying to protect as much as possible. With these words, I would like to end my address.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank
Your
you very
words of
much.
your words of encouragement and guidance have been most valuable to all of us. And it's a good fortune to actually we have been able to hear you and learn so much from you about the world of trademarks, and also the way the courts have been deciding on such matters that have been coming due to the coming of the internet. With this, I would like to introduce Professor Dr. T.V. Subbarao, Professor Emeritus, VSLLS WIPS. Sir, with his mission, strive for a knowledge-based society and through imparting appropriate academic and professional skills among the students in the field of law, and to promote competitive performance, has guided students in realizing their full potential, as also to strive for greater achievements in career and in life. Professor Dr. T.V. Subbarao is known for his contribution to the development of curriculum in law in the capacity of chairman and member of board of studies in various universities across the country. Sir has played a significant role in implementing the component of clinical legal education in the curriculum. I would now request Professor Dr. T.V. Subbarao, Professor Emeritus, to kindly shower his blessings on the workshop.
Madam will go. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Prableen.
Thank you.
Friends, we just heard
That's better. You can go. Thank you.
very learned discourse on trademark law and contemporary issues. Wonderful it is. Very learned, Honorable Justice Pratibha Singh, our beloved chairperson, Professor R. Venkata Rao, our scholar, vice chairman, he is supposed to be there. I do not know whether he is there or not. Sri Sunit Vats, Professor Dr. Rashmi Salpekar, Dr. J. Ravindran, our learned colleagues, Deepali Vasisht, Nipun Gupta, Dr. Nipun Gupta, okay, and Abhinav Singh, Dr. Anchal Mittal, and my dear students, Prableen Kaur, Anusha Nanda, Prabhwani Kaur. Wonderful to meet all of you online first, and then before raising certain things, even though I am ignorant of this trade law, I will be having doubts. I am a doubting master. I remember quietly our beloved colleague, Professor Dr. Neeru Nakra. She was a wonderful teacher and an intellectual giant on intellectual property. That was another thing. It is in the fitness of things, my friends. Your committee is celebrating this wonderful program. I always say, I think previously also I have quoted one sloka. Muhurtam jwalitam shreyah nacha dhumayutum chiram. Better to burn the refulgent for a moment rather than smolder in smoke for eternity. It was rather our colleague Neeru Nakra. She was very bright in her academic brilliance. Coming back to the subject, as I have told you, I am very rather backward in knowing about this subject. But I must say something within the 10 minutes allotted. So let me say, with the growth of liberal economy, everything is commodified. Agreed? Made into a product or property through which one can derive financial benefits and profits. Rapid changes in socio-economic scenario resulted in creating the new rights as well, new rights regime as well, that established ownership over ideas and creative output of the individual. My friends, I should tell you, even though it was not unknown previously, it was known previously as well. But now there is a greater protection to the idea of individual expressed in intangible form, and there were greater restraints on how one could reproduce these works. The ancillary instruments of protection to mark something as protected and prevented the reckless and unregulated use of someone's ideas to profit another has come to play, my friends. This is the brief introduction which I could say. And then coming directly, protection of intellectual property rights in harmony with international practices and compliances. India is obligated under TRIPS to pass certain legislations, more than half a dozen, I think. One of them is the Trademark Act of 1999, which repealed the earlier act, Trade and Merchandise Act of 1958. Professor Rashmi Salpekar may give the background of it, how WIPO has come into existence, what is the jurisdiction of WTO, all these things. These are all sui generis legislations, we think. But this type of laws are there in every country. In India, even if you are a signatory to any international treaty or international convention or agreement, it will not become law of the land unless you make it into a law by virtue of Article 253 of the Indian Constitution. Two things I would like to tell you, which shows the philosophy of our chief guest. That is, number one, the entire trademarks law is based upon trust factor. Number one, underscore that point. Number two, trademark law is not rich man's law. That is another thing she has stated. And principles of law must be elastic in order to serve the contemporary issues. And she has given the latest issues which the court is facing. Besides that, you must understand that the exclusive rights conferred on the proprietor are said to be the subject matter of trademark. But the essential function of the trademark is to protect the interest of the consumers by guaranteeing that all the goods bearing the same mark are from the same commercial origin. We agree for that. And the courts also have underscored that problem, rather that aspect. For example, you can take, she was telling about the Cadbury. Cadbury case was there, we know, under this trademark law. Cadbury India Limited versus Neeraj Food Products. And Ramdev Food Products also case was there versus Arvind Bhai Ram Bhai's case and Cluyet Peabody case. So these are the cases which underscore that point. The essentials of deceptive similarity can well be understood with the cases of Parle Products case. And also we have seen the case of Amul versus Anul. These principles on the face of it, what is required is, it is any sign capable of being presented graphically, capable of being distinguished the goods and services of one undertaking from the other. That much very clearly we can establish. But my friends, you should see that there are certain problems. Number one, registration of patents, trademarks or designs and also copyright would take several months. Is it fact or not? Backlogs are there in IP registries. So, if you want to enter into a business with a trademark, you will have to plan well in advance. It is not momentous. It will not be quickly disposed of. the trademark registration and enforcement landscape in India, as far as legal provisions are concerned, is no different from other countries. Despite the best laws, as we believe, as we have, India has always been criticized in this field for its weak and highly time-consuming enforcement and court procedures. How do you overcome that one? The main disadvantage of trademark registration is that you have to pay a fee in every 10 years in order to maintain it. In terms of providing protection to the goods or services, trademark registration is the weakest intellectual property. This trademarks is the weakest intellectual property, my friends. Trademark doesn't protect the products always, it protects the just make marketing concepts. Therefore, trademark should go along with some other intellectual property rights, and that is why I called it as a weakest protection, my friends. There are many disadvantages of selecting descriptive trademark, you know. Having registered trademark doesn't entitle you to the related internet domain. We have seen how controversies arise in internet domain. She was also pointing out how many people are capable of rather going to the court and getting the remedies, and it is delayed. That is another problem. Systemic and capacity related problems faced by the people with the police, compounded by lack of awareness among IP protection, rather lack of awareness among the people about IP protection. Even the professors, we do not know much about it. Judicial delays, we cannot deny it, my friends, where courts can take years to come to a final decision. Indian courts can, however, grant interim injunctions that provide immediate relief to the rights. That is always there. Small players, the statistics show very clearly, account for large number of IP infringements. A major cause of concern in enforcement of these rights is bureaucratic delay, my friends. With a backlog of cases at both and civil and criminal courts. This means that cases can run for years together, and that is harmful for the very objective of these type of laws. There is also lack of transparency, particularly at local level, my friends. And these are some of the doubts which I have. Out of ignorance, I must have put these things to you. If they are relevant, deliberate. If they are irrelevant, ignore. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. We also have with us Professor Dr. Rashmi Salpekar, BSLLS WIPS. Ma'am holds a PhD in international law, for which she received fellowship from Indian Council of Social Science Research, New Delhi. She is an LLM, Master of Human Rights and Duties, and MA in Sociology. Ma'am has specialized in a variety of fields, including public international law and international trade, and commercial law. She has also been invited as a speaker in national and international conferences, including International Conference organized by WSV and City University, Hong Kong, and 15th International Symposium organized by the Australian Institute of Victimology, Western Australia University, to name a few. In addition to having edited and authored books, she has also been invited to judge moot court competitions, including the Philip C. Jessup International Law Moot Court Competition and Henry Dunant Moot Court Competition. She is a life member of the Indian Society of International Law and an executive member of the All Indian Law Teachers Congress. I would now request Professor Dr. Rashmi Salpekar, Dean, VSLLS WIPS, to propose the vote of thanks.
Thank you so much, Anusha. Now, first of all, at the outset, I would like to thank our chief guest, Honorable Justice Pratibha M. Singh, that we were all were saying that she was not well, but still she make it a point and she joined our meeting. She addressed the gathering. So I'm extremely grateful to Honorable Judge Justice Pratibha M. Singh for her valuable time. Not only she joined, even though she was not well, but still she addressed on so many issues which are very much pertinent for our today's workshop, 2 days workshop on trademark law and contemporary issues. So, Honorable Justice, we all are extremely grateful to you. I would like to thank our chairperson, Professor R. Venkatarao, for giving us this welcome address and also grace this particular occasion, this particular event. And we always start with his welcome address because we thought that, yes, we have taken blessings of Sir. As you know that our Professor R. Venkatarao, he is one of the most senior most professors in India and internationally acclaimed legal research scholar as well. Blessings from Professor T.V. Subbarao is always a treat for all of us. Energetic and equally, a wisdom you will always find in his all the topics on which he always speaks. So thank you so much, Professor T.V. Subbarao, for your words of wisdom. I'm extremely thankful to some of the guests which I would have seen actually in the participants list, which is a very exhaustive list. But I have seen Professor Alka Chawla, that she is here, and she is one of the resource person as well. Professor Alka ma'am, extremely thankful to you that you have joined our inaugural session as well. And we are waiting for your session coming on tomorrow. So thank you so much. I'm extremely thankful to my former colleague, and now she is heading consumer court platform, that is Miss Monica. So thank you so much, Monica ma'am, for joining us. And plus, I'm able to see various alumni who have joined and also the participants from across the country who have joined for this workshop. This is a workshop of 2 days workshop, and Professor Ashleen J. Lambris, Director, IP, Intellectual Property and Transaction Clinic from the University of New Hampshire, Franklin Pierce School of Law. She will be joining. Today is her technical session. Then we are also having, as I've said, Professor Dr. Alka Chawla, Professor in Charge, Campus Law Center, Faculty of Law, Delhi University. We will also be having Mr. Ranjan Narula, Managing Partner, RNA Technology and IP Attorneys. And we are also having Dr. Sunanda Bharati, Associate Professor, Law Center 1, Faculty of Law, Delhi University. So this workshop we have organized, yes, indeed, in the memory of our beloved Professor Dr. Neeru Nakra. Professor Neeru Nakra and intellectual property, as Professor R. Venkatarao sir said that, yes, she was our intellectual property. And even now also, we all faculty members, we all students, we somehow convinced ourselves to move ahead with the only one thought that, yes, she is still with us. And with this only we are moving ahead. So our Neeru ma'am, she used to fond of trademarks law. So she was in love of intellectual property, no doubt. In fact, she was having 2 loves. One is family law, mainly Hindu succession, and another is intellectual property. But somehow she used to give preference to intellectual property rights as always. So her love was for trademarks. She was having extensive publications on trademarks law. So therefore, in this particular national workshop, we thought that the best theme will be trademarks law and contemporary issues. Our first workshop we organized in the last year, 2020, when Neeru ma'am was there. So she organized that first workshop. Now she prepared many faculty members in the law school to move ahead with this particular Center of Intellectual Property. So I'm thankful to Dr. Dipali, Dr. Nipun, Dr. Achal Mittal, and Mr. Abhinav that you have organized this particular workshop. I'm extremely happy that my students, they have come forward, and even though they are having examinations just in a week, but still they have, they are involved greatly in this particular organization of the workshop. And dear participants from across the country and even from abroad also, they have joined. Let me tell you that this workshop we have organized with a sole objective that yes, we have to look into the contemporary issues of the trademarks. As our honorable chief guest, she also said that in trademarks matters, it is not only plaintiff and defendant, but it is also the consumers for whom we are required to think always. So there are various layers to this particular aspect. Like Professor T.V. Subbarao sir also said that why we are having like WIPO and what is the jurisdiction of WTO also. So all of you are always, you are aware about the Uruguay round, wherein it was in fact a negotiation that if you will accept TRIPS, then if we will accept TRIPS, then you are required to accept agreement on agriculture. So these kind of negotiations were, and as a result, TRIPS has been accepted as a covered agreement of World Trade Organization. So there are various layers to intellectual property rights, and one of the aspect is the trademarks. So once again, I would like to thank to all the dignitaries for sparing their precious time for inaugurating this particular national workshop on trademarks, law, and contemporary issues. With this, with the permission of the chair, I would like to announce that the workshop has been inaugurated. So once again, thank you so much. And we will meet in our technical session first. So over to Prableen so that she can give us details. Yes, thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you. With this, we come to the end of the inaugural session of the second WIPS IPR National Virtual Workshop. And I would like to take this opportunity on behalf of the team for CIPR to extend my sincere gratitude and thanks to our chief guest, Honorable Justice Pratibha M. Singh, Honorable Judge, Delhi High Court, the dignitaries, Professor Dr. R. Venkata Rao, Professor Emeritus, Professor Dr. T.V. Subbarao, Professor Dr. Rashmi Salpekar, and Dr. J. Ravindran, and all our participants for joining. The first technical session for today shall begin at 6 p.m. and all participants are requested to join the same on the meeting link that has been provided on the registered email ID. Thank you once again for joining us, and we hope that you have a great evening ahead. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Wonderful. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you so much,
All the
sir.
best
Thank
for the
you.
remaining sessions.
All the best.
Congratulations
Thank you,
for conducting inaugural session well.
Thank you so much, sir.
Good, very good. Now you are smiling. If
Thank
you
you.
started inauguration, you did not even smile. Okay, bye.
Thank you, sir. Anusha, you can pause the recording.